Hey, everybody, this is Elon, and we're back with another episode of Inside Fighting. And in this episode, I'm going to do things a little different because I'm going to answer the number one question I am always asked, and that is, what is the best martial art to train? So stay tuned and jump right in. I'm going to break it down for you. It's going to be fantastic. You won't even believe your own ears and eyes. Okay, let's go.
Pow pow, inside fighting, yeah, dangerous martial arts. Pow pow, ooh ah.
Okay, so that question is a little bit of a tough question in terms of answering it. What is the best martial art to train? And the truth is, to answer that question, you have to personally answer a series of other questions, if that makes sense. And the answer to those questions will get you to what martial art you should train. So the first thing I want to jump into is, and this is a very, very basic thing, but it's something that people actually don't look at a lot of the time. What are your goals? Are your goals self-defense? Are they fitness? Are they competition? Are they community? I made a list over here. That's how much I care about you guys in this channel. I literally wrote down the things I want to talk about today. Good times. But you have to know what you're going into martial arts for. In other words, if someone came to me and said, I want to be a combat sports athlete, I want to compete in the UFC, it's a very different answer than, hey, I just want to, be able to defend myself in a street encounter against a drunk guy versus I want to do something that I can do over the next 40 years and develop in and get belts in, and belts make me feel good. Whatever your goals are, you have to start looking at martial arts that accommodate those goals before you look at anything else. Okay, so that's number one. And there's no right or wrong here. I want to just get this out of the way very early on. I've noticed a lot of people like the idea of training martial arts that are validated socially. Let go of that. Who cares? If you like Wing Chun and you're going and doing it, it's making you happy and your friends hate it and make fun of it. Who cares? Screw them. They're not the ones training it. You are. We have to stop worrying about what other people think of the martial arts we train. For goals, don't worry about what anyone else thinks about the system. Focus on yourself. You want to learn self-defense and you feel like you're getting good self-defense out of this specific style. And I'll say this about self-defense. Schools that teach you to develop quickly in self-defense, which is what self-defense should be, are not necessarily the best for longevity in martial arts. In other words, if you're doing Krav Maga, you might not have 20 years of knowledge to gain out of Krav Maga like you would out of a system like a Kung Fu or certain karate systems or things like that, where the training tends to go later in life. You get what you need very quickly in Krav Maga because that's the nature of the system. So your goals also determine the longevity of learning. That's not to say you can't learn a lot for many years in those systems, but there is a fundamental difference there. Okay, so that's number one, goals. What are you training for? And I would break it down into self-defense, fitness, and these can overlap, combat sports, competition, which is the same thing, and number four is community. And again, community you might get out of any one of those, which kind of pulls me into the next segment, which is school specific. Now, schools vary so greatly. I don't know what's happening to my English right now, but the difference in quality in schools, even within the same system, can be so extreme that it's very hard for me to tell somebody, hey, train Muay Thai, and then they go to the local Muay Thai gym. And this is not to put anyone down, but it's like a bunch of, women in their 50s and 60s who are really doing combat cardio kickboxing, and they call it a Muay Thai school. And they think they're learning how to fight. They don't spar, they hit pads, they hit the bags, they get their heart rate up. Again, that's great for fitness if that's your goal, but that's not really a Muay Thai school. And so the variety of what you would find in like Thailand in a competition or fight camp school versus what you find in America in like your local community, people just calling it Muay Thai, the variance between those two schools is so great that it really does depend where you're training. You can't just say Muay Thai is the right martial art to train and then go to a school that's not really training the Muay Thai that you should be learning. So if there's an option between a Muay Thai school and a Kyokushin school, and you really wanted to train Muay Thai, but it's not right for you when you go there and you visit the school and the Kyokushin school is right for you, don't hold on to the idea so much of what martial art you're training. Let go of that a little bit and train at the school that is right for you. It's very important. And this pulls me into the next thing also. See how these all flow together in like a lyrical genius of martial arts knowledge right now. Anyway, the next one, and this is very, very important, at least for me. It's one of the main things that will make me train or not train. And the answer to this next one, or the question, is distance. How far is the school? I have literal mental cutoffs where, like, if a school is more than 25 minutes away driving, my brain just kind of shuts off and goes, and I find excuses not to go train that day. Whereas if a school is 5 minutes away, I will be there all the time. If the school is 10 minutes away, I'll probably still be there all the time. If it's 15 minutes away, now I might lose a little bit of the drive to get there, the motivation on some days. If it's raining outside, if there's traffic, now that becomes 20, 25 minutes. I start losing motivation. So I know I have strict guidelines for myself. I'd rather train at the school or the style that is less in line with specifically what I wanted, because I know I'd rather be training a martial art 5 days a week that might not be perfect for me than training the martial art that I believed psychologically was perfect for me. But I'm only training it once a week, once every 2 weeks, because I'm so lazy to get over there. And when you're working, when you have other things in life, you have to take this into account. It's a major part of choosing where you're going to train. I'd rather someone train Taekwondo 5 days a week than train Brazilian Jiu Jitsu 1 day a week. It's where you're going to go that's most important, because you can have the best martial arts school in the world, but if it's an hour away and you never make it over there because of your work schedule and your life commitments, it's completely useless. Doesn't mean anything. If anything, treat that school as like a place you go once every 2 weeks to supplement your other training if it's that good. But if it's unrealistic for you to go all the time, don't hold on to the idea of going there and then just not train, because that's super ridiculous. So the next one is obvious on its face. Passion, la pasión. If you do not love the martial art you train, you will not train it. And so if you're noticing, there's kind of a trend here. Go to the school where you're most likely to train. And you're most likely to train in the school where you are passionate. Meaning, it could be a variety of things. You like the community in the school, you like the style of the school, you like the energy. So there's a bunch of things that come together that make you passionate either about that system, about the school specifically, like we talked about earlier, whatever the thing is, but you're coming from a place of passion. You should not train martial arts out of a place of obligation. I really believe this. I think you have to love it if you're going to keep doing it. For most of us, this is a hobby. We're not becoming professional athletes. We're not out fighting in the ring to try and make a living. And so you're more likely to do a hobby, and most hobbies should come from a place of love, from a place of enjoyment. And if you start not enjoying where you're at, and this has happened to me where I just feel like I have a certain obligation to the school because I've been training there and it's just changed. It's not the right energy for me anymore. But because I have a commitment to my coach, I have a commitment to having been there for a while, I'm just unhappy and I'm going and training. And it's no longer a thing that brightens up my day. It's almost like, oh, why do I have to go do this? But I feel like I do. Or if the sparring gets too rough and you've gotten older, and this will actually pull me into the next point, because the next point is actually sustainability, longevity. And I think this is important in martial arts. Again, if you're looking to train self-defense and you want to learn something in 6 weeks and you want to just go do a self-defense course, that's one thing. But if you're looking to train for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, God willing, you have to look at a martial art that is sustainable. And then you also have to look at schools that teach in a sustainable way. So I've been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu over 20 years, probably close to 24 years now. And it has hurt my body, ladies and gentlemen. I am no longer the man I used to be. Jiu-Jitsu has very much destroyed my lower back. It's destroyed my neck. It's destroyed my joints. And I know people say like Jiu-Jitsu is the gentle art. I've also done Sambo, but that's besides the point. Yes, Sambo is more rough than Jiu-Jitsu. They're both rough. Grappling in its very nature is a rough sport. Grappling will just wear and tear on your joints. And over 20 years, over 2 decades, you will start having herniated discs, worn down spine, radiculopathy, neuropathy, all these crazy things doctors diagnose me with because of all this hard rolling on the ground and throwing and all that stuff. So I have to make a decision to adapt my training to be sustainable, because I start looking for outs now. My neck will hurt me so bad for like weeks at a time that I'm like, maybe I should just give up on jujitsu. That's not the right answer. The right answer is change the way I train, make it sustainable. And these all kind of tie into each other, because if you're at the right school with the right people, the right community, you're passionate, you will find people to train with who can adapt their training or are in the same place as you to train that way. And so don't necessarily give up on a style because you feel like it doesn't have longevity or sustainability. Change the way you train to adapt that style to your lifestyle and where you're at. It's a big lesson for me. It's something I've had to go through. Look, the styles I like are just rough. I like hard styles. I like Kyokushin, which is bare knuckle fighting on the body. I like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I like Sambo. I like full contact stick fighting. These are styles that are not by nature sustainable, and I have found ways to make them sustainable. I have found ways to adapt them after 25 years of training to become a more what's the word I'm looking for, ladies and gentlemen? Write it in the comment section below if you figured it out. No, a more realistic part of my lifestyle because I'm not 20 anymore. I'm not 30 anymore. I'm not going to be able to do the things I used to do. And that's okay. And that's getting rid of my ego. It's like what I talked about before about validation. You don't need the world to love the martial art you train. You need to love the martial art you train, which means that within that, you don't need the world to love the way you train. You need to love the way you train. You need to find a place where you can keep doing it. So, again, sustainability is, in my opinion, one of the most overlooked things in martial arts, especially when we're young meatheads. And maybe it's becoming more aware today, but like boxing, man, the amount of head trauma you take in a boxing gym can really deter a lot of people from training there. And if you're getting head trauma in your 20s and 30s, you're going to feel that for the rest of your life. There's not recovery from that later on, which we see with boxers all the time. So you have to be aware of these things when you're training and choosing a martial art. Again, that was one of the appeals of Kyokushin, is that there were no face punches. Sure, you can get kicked in the head, but most guys are not pulling that off. If they are, they're usually advanced enough to be nice in the gym and not land a full force head kick on you. So you're just not dealing with that same repeated impact to your head all the time. And that was very appealing to me. So having said all this, these are my 5 notes: school specific, goals, distance, passion, and sustainability. That's my criteria. If you answer those questions, you'll know where to train, and it'll be really specific to you. It'll be the school that is right for you, not even the style that's right for you. Having said that, I'll tell you the martial arts I train. I train Silat, like I just said. I just found an amazing instructor out here. I'm doing a video with him, hopefully in the next week. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be freaking amazing, folks. It's going to be unbelievable. And then I'm also training Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Obviously, it's a major part of my life. And I'm getting back into Kyokushin now. I took a break from it, but I'm getting back into it. I love that system. So those are the 3 things I'm training. And that's all I need. That's a lot. And so, yeah, that's all I got to say. Like and subscribe. That's, again, I always end with this, but if you haven't done it and you've watched more than 2.5 of my videos, then you really owe me. Ring the bell. Okay, there we go. Weird mood today.